Hello everybody, I am PhenomSage, and welcome back to another Winter 2018 First Impressions video. I've been releasing quite a lot of these because this season has just been so stacked, but I don't think I have been this excited to bring you a First Impressions video all season. Today we are going to be talking about Darling in the Franxx, a joint production between Trigger and A1 Pictures. And to get straight to the point, this feels like the must-watch series of the season. Now before we get into just all of the reasons why I'm saying that right now, I do have to admit that initially I was skeptical about this project. I mentioned being excited for it and anticipating it in my Winter 2018 video, but my excitement mainly came from the fact that Trigger was working on this project and just the legacy that Trigger has as a studio. Because those first few PVs for this series weren't impressing me. They seemed kind of boring, kind of uneventful, and I was starting to get worried about this project and where it could potentially go. But as more PVs and clips came out for this series, I realized, oh my god, this series looks incredible. It's looking better and better. I'm starting to see some action, some more interesting character stuff, and then the final supersonic boost into this hype train was the fact that this has been confirmed for 24 episodes. Now, I have heard people say that having 24 episodes doesn't necessarily mean anything, really. It could still end up garbage. In fact, that could potentially be the reason why it's garbage, because I have seen series that drag on for too long because they were too core. But for my expectations and just how good this first episode was, 24 episodes is a godsend. It gets me far more excited about where this story could potentially go and where they'll take it, because we just have so much more time to explore these things. Now, before I get into what this series is and what it's about, all of that stuff, let's just cut to the chase and focus on what I loved the most about this first episode, and that is the glorious animation and direction. It is clear from the very beginning that this series is gorgeous and has probably the best animation we've seen all season so far. And I know people will say Violet Evergarden. I would say that series looks so good due to its art direction and detail, not so much its animation. The animation in this episode is just so fluid and expressive, and it's done so well in so many different ways. It's not just an explosion of, oh, look at this, it's action, it's excitement. Even the more subtle dialogue focused scenes have incredible use of character animation and just a really well done attention to detail in these characters' conversations with one another and their facial expressions. That's not to say that we definitely don't get those over-the-top flashy action sequences that Trigger is known for either. And it was these clips in the later PVs that was getting me really excited for this project, because apparently Hiroyuki Imaishi is handling these action sequences. And if you don't know him, you will certainly know his work as the director of Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, on top of being a key animator for such well-animated series and movies such as End of Evangelion, One Piece Movie 6, Redline, Full Metal Alchemist. This dude has a history, he has a pedigree. This man is already delivering on some of the best action sequences we've gotten in 2018 thus far. The action sequences that we get in this episode towards the latter half are absolutely jaw-dropping. And even if the story was garbage, I feel like those sequences make this series worth the watch alone. I also need to make a note about the beautiful use of direction and series composition that we see in this first episode. On the direction side, we can see that both the dialogue sequences and the action sequences are, like I said, handled wonderfully. And specifically in the action sequences, you can tell that this director just knows how to frame the action on the screen. It really just communicates the scale and awe of these beasts just rolling around and fighting. And as for the series composition, there's just a really poignant use of narration and thematic material that grounds this otherworldly story into the personal motivations and emotions of our characters. There's a splendid use of symbolism through this bird in the beginning of the episode that's used to relate our characters and their struggles, and I thought it'd just be like a one and done sort of symbolic message, but the director brings it back and makes it all the more impactful when he does. So many wonderful uses of parallels and juxtaposition through the narration and visual symbolism, which already tells me that both the series comp and the director know what they're doing with this project. Now that I've adequately gushed about the technical aspects of this episode, let's talk about this story, which from this premiere seems like it could be just as promising as the production. Now, there was a lot of information for me to absorb in this episode, so much so that I actually had to rewatch the episode to pick up on things that I missed the first time. Our basic premise exists under the idea that humans now live on things known as plantations, with their society being led by someone known as Papa. Children from birth are raised to pilot these mechs known as FranXX, and from what I gather, become known as pistols. I also saw the term parasite thrown around. I think that's just the general term to refer to anyone under this society, but I could be wrong about that. Either way, these children are raised to pilot these suits, and we learn later on that the ones who can't match up and deliver the proficiency that the society is looking for are sent away on these pods. Now, what ends up happening to them once they get on these pods? I don't know, and that's the cool part. It seems like they could easily go in that direction and start revealing information and revelations. And from that premise alone, there are heavy Shinsekai Yori vibes, with these children being raised, disposed of if they're not up to par, etc, etc. That's straight out of Shinsekai Yori. And as we get more into the plot, we learn that our main character Hiro is one of these children who has failed and not lived up to the expectations of the adults who are guiding them. And from my understanding, it seemed like some kind of compatibility test with his partner, so the two of them are sent out to these pods. Again, where they're being sent and what's going to happen to them, I have no idea. But for some reason, Hiro is given special permission to stay despite his shortcomings. As for why, again, I could not tell you. These are things that I am looking forward to learning in the future of this series, which is, again, very promising to me when I am so interested in learning more about this world and its characters. Through a various sequence of events, Hiro winds up piloting a FranXX with a girl known as 02, who seems to be a special and valuable person to this society for a reason I will not spoil in this video. Now, as I mentioned multiple times while going through this synopsis, there is a ton of potential for this story. There are so many interesting directions that you can take this. In just this first episode alone, we are introduced to a number of mysteries and interesting world building that just makes you want to learn more. We can learn the secrets of this society and their origins, the mysterious beasts that they're fighting known as Klaxosaurs, or just what they're doing to these children that they send away in these pods. It's just always a good sign to me when I can picture all of the limitless possibilities of where a narrative can go in the future and just feel so excited to get into it and just learn more. I love that feeling. To go back to the subject of the technical aspects and the production, I also have to give a really big nod to the soundtrack. This was one of the notable things in the PVs to me as well, is that the soundtrack sounded really nice. And that is the case for this first episode as well. Very subtle when it needed to be, but immersed me in these scenes even more when it came to the forefront, especially at the climactic scene towards the end of the episode. Something I wasn't feeling as much during the PVs, but I'm really enjoying them now, are the character designs. I really enjoy how simplistic they are, and yet every single character has that distinct quality to them that makes them stand out and distinguishes them. I also enjoy most of their personalities that we've seen showcased so far, as they don't really feel really tropey, like every single one of them represents a different archetype. Like, they all just feel like characters, which I enjoy. And that extends to Hiro and 02 as well. 02 especially, I expected to be a different kind of character than she ended up being. I was expecting maybe like some kind of tsundere, or maybe just some kind of annoying and pointlessly mean character to our MC Hiro. But she didn't turn out to be that at all. In fact, she seems really lighthearted and outgoing. She's got this air of mischief and childishness to her that I really enjoy watching, and I'm just happy that she didn't turn out the way that I thought she would. She's a really likable character so far. Anyways, as for the side characters, I hope that they all get time to shine. They seem to be in the forefront, which I hope means that they will play major roles later on in the story, and all get their time in the spotlight. I think that's really all I have to say. Overall, I am loving this series so far, more so than I ever thought I would, and I was already anticipating it, and I would probably say that it is the best first episode of the season, surpassing how much I loved Antarctica's first episode. I can't wait for more, and I definitely think this is something that I will be reviewing weekly. I just feel far too passionate about this story and where this series could potentially go to just drop it and not talk about it. So that's been all from me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, I really appreciate your comments, support, everything. It just means so much to me, and I love that you guys are watching these series that I recommend to you, because I only want to recommend the best of what I'm really enjoying. And I've mentioned it the past few videos, but I have to mention it again. If you haven't already, go join our Discord. It is the best place ever. It's so fun to be just chatting and talking to you guys. I'm on there a lot. In fact, I went on there while I was recording this video. So if you want a convenient place to contact me or just talk about random stuff, that is the place to go for sure. I have a ton of plans of fun stuff that we do together over there. Like just yesterday, I streamed Redline and we all watched it together. It was a ridiculously fun time. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, or you just want a place to hang out and talk to me and other people, go join the Discord. It's an awesome, awesome place. But of course, as usual, have a great day.